Hello and welcome to the Virtual Racing League live tonight from Rockingham Speedway for the VSPEED Garage 160. Race number 13 of 25 this season and closing in on the playoffs. Just 5 races remaining in the regular season after tonight's event. And drivers trying to get themselves set up for a good spot in the points to try and make it into the top 12 and advance into those playoffs. Should be a fun one here. This old 1 mile racetrack, Rockingham Speedway, Rockingham, North Carolina. Going to be a lot of fun. A very bumpy old track. They used to run here every year in the Cup Series up until, I believe it was 2004. And then they called it quits. And they've run lower series at this racetrack since then, but it's been a few years. But we get the luxury of running around here in iRacing with it still on the sim and still in the condition it was in about 15 or 20 years ago. So very excited to be bringing you this race. And if you've never seen a race at Rockingham, it can get very exciting. And there are a couple of grooves you can make work around this speedway. And you'll see these drivers try and take advantage and find the fastest way around throughout the night. So let's take a look at the points coming into the event, and we'll also talk to the top 3 finishers from last week, as we were not able to get them interviewed after the race with the internet crashing there in the last few moments, unfortunately, and apologize again that had happened, but we'll try and talk to those guys here at the top of the broadcast. But points coming into tonight's race, AJ Stravato with his runner-up finish last week, still able to hang on to that top spot in the standings after what looked like it was not going to be a great night for him. He does hang on to a slim lead over Connor Horn. You've got Alec Martinez right there as well. Dylan Parker in 4th in the standings. Then Adam Cabot, a first-time winner this season, in the 5th position. Safe Fair's also first-time winner. Jeff Wright, a winner. Keith Mayato, who won last week, his first victory of the season. Yusuf Ghali and Mark Emerson, the top 10. And then Eric Hutton, Jeremiah Vincent rounding out the top 12. And you can see how close it is as you get closer to that cut line. Mark Emerson just 22 points up in the 10th position. And then quite a few drivers within 100 points back. All the way down there to Jeremy Miller. And so drivers going to be trying to get as many points as they can here, knowing that time is ticking. And they are running out of races to try and make up those positions. The drivers working around the speedway here in practice. Oh, Keith Mayout hitting the pit lane entry on the backstretch. We're going to bring him into the booth if we can. See if we can pull him up here and interview him after his victory last week. Keith Mayato, Adam in the VSPEED booth. You got a copy?
10-4.
Well, Keith, you won last week at Nashville in a very dramatic turn of events. You got your first victory of the season. Now we're here tonight at Rockingham Speedway. How are you feeling, from the victory last week and moving forward tonight?
Yeah, it felt good after, last week's win. It was one of those things I put myself in it was a sketchy situation, but it was, I guess, the winning position to be in. So, it worked out, especially when I was probably maybe a 4th place car all night. With tonight, I don't know. I know I have the qualifying speed, but long run speed, I think I'm going to have to work on.
Yeah, this track can be so tricky with all those bumps all the way around, and we know you're good on the long runs at a lot of places, so we'll have to see how you do with the tire wear tonight. But, how does it feel to get that first victory, and, you've seen your luck kind of start to turn around a little bit over here in VRL, and with only a few races left in the regular season?
Yeah, it was nice. I know the win doesn't guarantee me into the playoffs, but it's nice to get, maximum points with the race win. I don't think I got much for stage points, but with tonight, And I guess with the good finishes, I don't think I've had two top five finishes all year. It's either been like one good night and then like three bad ones. So it was nice to get two good runs there. And tonight, it's just points, just a good finish. Top 10 would be nice.
Yes, sir. Sitting second on the practice board, and we'll see if you can follow up last week's victory. But again, congrats on that victory, and good luck here tonight.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, and that was Keith Mayato in the number 36 machine, race winner from last week. Let's see if we can pull up second place finisher AJ Stravato. I think he's on the racetrack right now, so maybe we'll see if he brings it down anytime soon. I don't want to interrupt him if he's out here on track, but maybe we'll talk to Connor Horn, who's sitting in the pit lane. See if we can pull him up here. Connor Horn, Adam in the VSPEED booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. 10-4.
Well, Connor, we didn't get to talk to you after last week's race, but top three finish at Nashville Fairgrounds. Another great run for you. And, you know, it was very close there at the end between you and AJ, but, you know, you were able to rebound after late issues in that one. And, you know, how did it feel to come away with the podium?
Fine, I guess. I was pretty upset about that race. If I got interviewed last week, I probably would have been way more mad. I mean, I'm still mad, but it's whatever. At least I got a top three. At least I didn't get completely screwed like Bailey and Yusuf did, because we were top three the whole time, and I was the only one who finished top three, which is sad because, you know, one of us three were going to win that race. It was a matter of track position. It looked like Bailey had it, and I don't think me or Yusuf were going to catch him. Whoever had track position late was going to win the race, and Bailey got away. And with 15 to go, you know, just a random yellow out of nowhere comes out and just ruins the whole race. Took two tires. I got in front out of Bailey, but Alec took none, didn't pit, so that was great. But then I turned down on Bailey after hitting Alec, and then Keith came in there and caused the wreck out of two. It's pretty upsetting, but there's nothing we could do. The car, we don't race trucks. The car was already pretty damaged, so I just had to salvage what I could on two tires. I could get off restarts pretty good, but it took 2 or 3 restarts to get by Alec on no tires, which was pretty frustrating that he stayed out, but there was nothing I could do about it. And Keith got by everyone, and he was on 4 tires, so it was really just a fight for a second at that point.
Yeah, things got really crazy there at the end, and like you said, Bailey was out there. It looked like he was going to be on his way to victory, but you know, anything happens here pretty much, especially at the end of the race. You never know how it's going to go, but you're still closing in on the points lead, and you know, here tonight at Rockingham, how are you feeling about tonight's race?
Hope I can finish top 5 and get some stage points and finish ahead of AJ. I can't really miss a race from here on out if I want to pass him, and there's still other people in the mix that can pass me. Like, you know, if I mess up, like Alec, Dylan, Adam, they're there. If I'm not careful, so I just have to do what I can. If I have to get them only 3 points at a time or 4 points at a time, I'll do that. But just neither of us can make a mistake.
Yeah, definitely going to be fun to watch that championship battle, and you've been so consistent all season long, so looking for another potentially great performance here tonight. Currently 5th on the board in practice, and good luck out there, Connor.
4. Hope to see you later.
All right. That is Connor Horn, number 67. As AJ Stravato looks like he just pulled it back in the pit lane. Let's see if we can pull him up into the booth. AJ Stravato, Adam in the VSPEED booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, AJ, runner-up finish last week, and you were able to salvage what you could. Really made the most of that race when it looked like things were not going your way, and still hanging on to the points lead. You know, how happy were you to come away with a podium finish last week?
I lucked into that. I'm not even going to lie. It was just a act of attrition last week. I know we had a pretty good short run speed, but I think if I can remember after the first stage that we had, we were caught up in something, and we were just down on horsepower, and we only had speed for about 30 laps. So we were just able to pick off some positions on some key restarts, get some track position, and have others' misfortune help us out. So I was pretty lucky to keep the points lead. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I think it's 13 points between you two, and if things had kind of, you know, finished as they were about mid-race, I think you probably would have been 10 or 15 points behind him, but definitely great recovery in that race, and you beat him out at the line there, so that was fun to watch. But tonight's race going to be a bit different, you know, a little longer racetrack, a little bit more, you know, racing room. But how are you feeling about tonight's race?
Yeah, this is a very technical track, so my job is just to keep it off the wall out of 2 and just keep the tires on it pretty much, because this track wears tires really well. So just survive and hopefully get a top 5 finish and at least maintain the points lead. I know Connor, Adam Cabot, and a couple others are really quick here, so how'd it work out for me?
Yes, sir. Sitting 4th in the practice boards. You're going to qualifying, so good luck out there, and we'll see how you do here tonight.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, that was AJ Stravato, driver of the number 33, as they are headed to the qualifying session. We'll see who pulls out onto the racetrack, and so glad we were able to talk to all of those guys before the event. As we've got Greg Wellen, Adam Cabot is getting up to speed. Look at him wiggling that car, getting up onto the banking. And we're actually going to go on board with Adam as he makes his way around. See what kind of lap time he gets up on the board as he dives into 1 and 2, up the racetrack a little, cuts back down. Right past the Thunder Valley sign, this place known as Thunder Valley. Running the middle groove here in 3 and 4. You can kind of run where you want through there. Nice clean lap for the 77, the Magic Man. He's trying to improve on lap number 2. Currently the only driver with the time in. And he runs the low line this time around. Gets topped by Greg Wellen. But that time by 22:51. That'll put him back up to the top of the board. Zach Halpern also on the racetrack now. Getting up to speed for his first flying lap. I believe Greg Wellen with an issue on lap number 2. Did not improve his lap time. So Halpern now through 3 and 4 trying to get that first lap in. Connor Horn, his first time, a 23.24. Jeremy Miller, a 22.66. And Zach, really big slide, trying to hang on to it, but not going to be able to improve with that mistake. Apparently 5th out of 5 qualifiers now, AJ Stravato. On lap number 2, Connor Horn jumps to 2nd on the board. Just 2.5 minutes remaining in tonight's qualifying session. Tonight's race sponsored by VSPEED Garage, one of our YouTube channels. You can check it out in the description below. We feature automotive content, repair videos, specialty parts, and custom design parts as well. So you can check us out at the link below, and you can also check us out vspeedsim.com/garage, where you can find some of the parts and offerings that we have over there. As Dylan Parker, who was fastest in practice, goes to the top of the board. Let's take a look here. Safe Ferris in his Canadian scheme, inspired by Memorial Day paint schemes. Nice looking car there for Safe. We've got Angelo Ronis up on the banking now, trying to get up to speed, working that high groove through 3 and 4, and so fun to watch him ride the bumps here. Just over a minute remaining, and still Dylan Parker fastest in the qualifying session. Keith Mayato, who is currently 11th with a very off lap. I don't know what happened to him, if he made a mistake or maybe connection problems, but he was 2nd quick in practice and not going to be able to back that up in qualifying. Angelo Ronis up to 9th on lap number 1, trying to improve for lap 2. We do want to welcome you to the race tonight. Welcome Reggie, Thomas, as the 29 down into pit lane, gonna not be able to get the second lap in. And just 30 seconds remaining. Looks like Dylan Parker could capture the pole tonight, as Alec Martinez up to speed right now on lap 1 at 23:16. He'll just be able to get a second lap in. The 18 cruising down the back straightaway into 3 and 4. Up the banking now, brings it back down at 22:56. Not going to be fastest, but 4th quick. Definitely a great lap there by Alec to bring him up the leaderboard late in the session. Let's take a look at our starting grid in tonight's race. Rolling off from the pole tonight, it's going to be Dylan Parker with a great lap time of 22:49, the only driver in the 4s. And right on his outside going to be the Magic Man, Adam Cabot, with a great lap time as well at 22:52. So that is your front row here tonight in the VSPEED Garage 160. Rolling off from row number 2, Connor Horn, a 4-time race winner this season. Alec Martinez to his outside, starting in 4th position. Starting in 5th, it'll be AJ Stravato, the points leader. Starting in 6th, Jeremy Miller. Starting 7th, Marcus Emerson. Rolling off 8th, going to be Safe Ferris. Rolling off from 9th position, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who we have not seen here for a few weeks, but a good lap time nonetheless. 9th position on the qualifying boards. Rolling off from 10th, it'll be Angelo Horonis. Starting in 11th, it's Greg Wellen. Starting in 12th, Zach Halpern. Starting 13th, Keith Mayato. Starting 14th, Yusuf Gali, who had a great race last week and has continued to march up through the standings. Starting 15th tonight, Jeff Wright. Starting in 16th, Elliot Butler. And Jeff, we have not seen in quite a few weeks, so good to have him back. And look for that 48 to make his way forward through tonight's race. Going off 17th, Eddie Trejo. Starting in 18th, William Troy. And that's going to do it for tonight's field. Just 18 drivers here at the Rock, Thunder Valley, whatever you want to call it. It is going to be exciting. And cheer on your favorite driver. Let us know you're out there, who you're rooting for, and who do you think is going to win tonight's race. Pretty slick track out here tonight. 94-degree track temp, 75-degree air temp. And 160 laps. The stage going to end at lap 55 or the start of lap 66. It should be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to this. As Dylan Parker, who had a variety of issues last week, with a statement here tonight in qualifying, very quick, and very quick in practice as well. We'll see if he can back it up in the race. Pace car rolls off, green flag in the air, and we are underway. Dylan Parker, Adam Cabot get us going. And the 77 with a good launch on the start, able to pull the nose out in front, but there goes Dylan. Gonna drive right on past him. Cabot slips into second. We've got cars slipping and sliding farther back. That's Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who we just mentioned, starting up there in the top 10, already back to second to last. It looks like Elliot Butler started from the pit lane as lap number 1 in the books. Dylan Parker leads it. And the top 3 pulling a little bit away over Alec Martinez, who's under pressure from Jeremy Miller. Jeremy just inside the top 20 in points, looking for some momentum to try and get himself up into the top 12. And right around 100 points behind the cut line. As battling going on all throughout the field, nose to tail. Keith Mayato here now works to the inside. That was Greg Wellen, who got a little bit tight into turn number 1. He's going to lose a few positions. There goes William Troy in the Verizon Ford Mustang, making a return to the league as well. So a few guys missing, but a few guys we haven't seen in a little while racing here tonight. as it is the 3 of Dylan Parker, stretching it out by about 3 or 4 tenths over Adam Cabot, who's just a few car lengths in front of Connor Horn, and they have pulled it out about 7 tenths over Jeremy Miller, who's made his way past, I'm not sure who it was. Maybe it was Alec Martinez who had an issue. Alec back to 13th. Yeah, Alec was up there. That's who he was battling with. And I think maybe a little crinkle on the right front of that car. Hard to say from these angles, but all the way back here, maybe saving his stuff. Maybe just a mistake early on in the going, but nose to tail, pretty much single file all the way around. Keith Maotto, last week's winner, up 2 positions into 11th. And he said he wasn't sure about his long run pace here tonight. But right now, making up a little bit of ground on the cars in front of him. Now side by side, Mark Emerson and Angelo Ronas, the 22 and the 29. Angelo going to roll to the inside here, right along that yellow line and through the bumps. And he is going to clear the 22. Look at Yusuf Ghali with the big slide. And Yusuf, last year's champion, trying to find victory lane for the first time this season. Really had one of the best cars last week, and his race cut a little bit short. But I think he still had a pretty solid finish with all the craziness that happened in the last few laps. Right now riding in the top 10 and still trying to build that momentum and get up into the top 5 in the standings. He was at one point all the way outside the top 15 and has really had some great runs over the last few weeks. Multiple top 3 performances in terms of speed, but not really the finishes as much. But Dylan Parker, he's showing off the wheels tonight, all the way out to a second over Adam Cabot, who's under pressure from Connor Horn. Jeremy Miller also closes in. AJ Stravato not too far behind, but side by side out of turn number 2. That is tricky. They are able to survive as Connor now sends it down low. Cabot trying to keep it wound up high. And through that wavy pavement, Connor Horn able to take over the second position, but they have lost some time to Dylan Parker, that is for sure. Back a second right now. And Cabot into third. He's going to feel the pressure from the 30. Safe Fair is also up here in the 6th position. Safe has really poured it on here over the last, I don't know, about half dozen races. Ever since a couple weeks before his victory, he really started to show some speed. I think it was Darlington where he had one of the best long run cars of anyone on the racetrack. And continuing to build week after week. Looking for battles right now on the racetrack. Nothing to speak of. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, though, that rough start, already back 5 positions. He's been able to pass up William Troy and Greg Wellen. One driver who's having, I believe, some connection problems and had to start from the pit lane. Elliott Butler now about to go a lap down. And his name and info is not even showing up on my graphic there, so that's a bit interesting. But Dylan Parker just puts him a lap down and still the fastest car on the racetrack. But I think the next few cars behind him starting to pick up the pace. That time across the line. Still Dylan Parker, fastest car on the racetrack. And over 1 second out in front. And looks like we could have a battle developing here. Jeremy Miller, AJ Stravato side by side for the 3rd position. Or 4th position, rather. Stravato takes it down low. through 1 and 2. He'll be able to take that spot away with ease. That middle groove not really the way around through 1 and 2. And you see Yusuf Ghali also making evasive maneuvers there to get around Elliott Butler. Keith Mayato up to the 10th position and starting to track these guys down. See Mark Emerson kind of struggling up here a little bit in the 8th position, but already lost one spot. He might be in danger of losing another one to Yusuf Ghali. And I think Yusuf even has some right front damage on that car. I think he's tagged the wall just a little bit. But really putting the pressure on the 22 machine in the early going of this race. Yusuf's been very good on the long runs in many of these events. Just doesn't seem to be able to get up to the front quick enough. But definitely quick as he makes the pass on the 22. And here comes Mayato to the inside. These two no strangers to each other. But Keith going to make the pass very easily up to the 9th position. And Mark now rides in 10th. Seyfarth losing a spot. Is Angelo Ronis moving forward very well in this race? And at the stage break, lap 56, the end of lap 55, start of lap 56, the top 8 will be awarded with bonus points. So these guys back here battling to be that final spot. Seyfarth is currently 8th, Mayato 9th, and Safe is going to give it up to his teammate. And here comes Mark Emerson, who's going to try and challenge him now. So Safe may be burning his stuff up early in this event. Bit uncharacteristic from how he's performed over the last few races. But here goes Yusuf Ghali now to the inside of Angelo Ronis, who nearly gets into the outside wall. And 54 will take over 6th position. The 29 losing some speed here. As now Mayato to the inside. 29, big wiggle out of the corner. Yusuf Ghali and Keith Mayato moving up through the field. You can see that long run strength out of those two drivers. Now Alec Martinez starting to march forward. He is in the 12th position. And trying to be very smooth, it appears. I'm not sure what the fuel range is for these drivers tonight. It could be very close to the stage distance. So we have a battle brewing for 3rd position. These two who fought for the victory at Darlington. Once again, battling here to another track that kind of races like a Darlington. Not necessarily in how you get around here or the shape of the track or anything like that, but really just in terms of the bumpiness and how you navigate through these corners, it's kind of similar. You see Stravato goes in low, he'll come up the racetrack slightly, then you cut back down on exit, which is very much how you'd get around Darlington. And then on this end of the racetrack, you can either stay low or you can try and go high. Usually the low line is preferred, but it's all reliant on the setup of the race car. As Keith Mayato has made his way past Yusuf Ghali and now into the 6th position. Started all the way back in 13th, up 7 spots. Yusuf Ghali also up 7. Seyfarth is now marching past the 29 of Angelo Ronis, so a lot of changes for position in the back half of the top 10. Zach Halpern starting to close in on Mark Emerson. That 7 car looking pretty stout. on the long run. Meanwhile, Dylan Parker out 1.8 seconds and driving away last time by, about a half-tenth quicker than Connor Horn. Adam Cabot was fastest car on the racetrack. Or actually, no, it was Keith Mayato by about 2/10 over the 3 machine. And then it was Adam Cabot about a half-tenth faster than Dylan. This time by Connor a half-tenth quicker, as well as Cabot. But Mayato still the fastest car on the racetrack. So the 36, wasn't sure about his long run speed, but he has made his way through the field and challenging for the 5th position. Could be trying to go back to back if he can close the gap to those leaders up in front. Alec Martinez has made his way back into the top 10, so Alec picking up the pace as well, and some other drivers starting to fade pretty badly. That's Angelo Ronas, who last time by was about 7/10 slower than the 18. Zach Halpern also some big damage to the nose of that car. And it looks like he might have gotten into the 22, who's looking to get back to the inside. Can't do it that time, but I don't think Mark is all that happy. I know that I saw Zach closing in, but didn't see the contact. And Zach, who will probably be up in the booth here tomorrow night for the Watkins Glen race and the Below the Double Yellow Cup Series. And now the battle for 5th. Mayato right on the bumper. You going to try anything to get around the 30 or just wait for Jeremy to make a mistake? Look at the center speed there. The 36. So smooth out of the corner. Loses about a car length though, as he had to kind of check up. And look at this, just driving it through the center of the turn. Closes that gap back up. Still a car length in hand for the 30 machine. Keith just waiting for his opportunity as that Toyota Camry in front of him starting to struggle a bit. And this has really slowed up the 36. But Jeremy needs every point that he can get, being so far back in the standings. Still trying to make his way up into the top 12. And he's had some good speed week in and week out, just cannot get the finishes that he probably deserves. Meanwhile, the gap from first to second closing pretty rapidly now as Dylan Parker seeing some tire fall off and about to put another lap down on Elliott Butler. That 6 car really off pace tonight. And he will go another lap down, but he's still the lucky dog in case anything happens. But how about Connor Horn just 1 second behind now with a little over 15 laps to go. He's also bringing Adam Cabot with him. Those two quite a bit faster than your race leader. And Adam Cabot actually the fastest car on track last time around. This time I think Connor maybe a bit quicker. A 1/10 and a half faster than Dylan Parker. At this rate, he will get there. And Cabot just a 1/2 quicker. But both of them faster than the race leader, as well as AJ Stravato a little bit faster. Meanwhile, Keith Mayato has not been able to make his way past Jeremy Miller, but he is still there, trying to find some way around. And Yusuf Ghali might be closing into this battle as the 36 continues to be held up by the 30. Yeah, Yusuf about a 1/10 faster than either of those two in front of him. Connor Horn continuing to chip away at that gap, but Adam Cabot Looks like he is closing up the margin, that time by a tenth and a half faster than the two in front of him, and clearly the fastest car on the racetrack. You could see the visual distance close way up. And Dylan Parker really struggling now. The gap just 0.6 of a second. They might arrive at the back door of that 3 car with about 10 to go in the stage, and Dylan's going to have to fight for his life to hang on. Really quick in the first 35 laps. And then after that, just downhill. He's burned those tires up really badly. And here they are, the top 3, all within 3/4 of a second. And last time by, it was Connor Horn fastest, and actually Alec Martinez was a bit faster than any of the leaders, but he's about 8.5 seconds back in the 8th position. And Connor now just 2 car lengths behind Dylan Parker. Ten laps to go this next time by, and it's going to be very difficult, I think, for Dylan to hang on. Connor very aggressive usually when trying to make passes, and he knows when he's being held up and doesn't tend to deal with it too kindly. And he sees that 77 closing in on him. Dylan goes a bit defensive. Here goes Connor, going to look down low, not going to be able to get there, but Dylan overshoots the corner. And here comes Connor Horn looking to the inside, side by side out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. Through 3 and 4, Connor Horn takes the race lead. Here comes Adam Cabot, going to try and take second position away, and all those laps led. Probably not going to amount to a stage win for Dylan Parker, but he's just got to hope that he doesn't lose any more spots. As Cabot still very quick, he could win the stage and earn a valuable playoff point. Connor already with the most and second in the standings. He'll close up the gap to AJ Stravato a little bit more if he can win the stage or finish in front of him. And here is Yusuf Ghali and Alec Martinez battling it out. Alec back up to 6th position. What a charge back from 14th. As I think Yusuf might have tagged the wall right there. It's like a little bit of right side damage, so I think he may have. And Keith Maioto did make it past Jeremy Miller. I don't know if Jeremy has any damage or anything. I think Keith might have gave him a little tap there on the left rear. But up at the front, 1 car length separating the top 2. Dylan Parker's faded back to about a second behind. And you can see Adam Cabot really diving down into the corner. A lot of small wheel movements there, and he is really going down into the turn. Almost got to the bumper. Might have to use the chrome horn here. He's got chrome on the sides. Maybe there's a little chrome under that matte black paint that he wants to expose. But look at this, just so much pressure on Connor Horn. Connor not braking just yet. Only a few laps to go in the stage, though, and Adam Cabot could really use that bonus point. Hasn't had the best of performances since his race win at Darlington, and a little bit overcooked there in a turn 3, but still a car length and a half the distance between these two. And he is going to try something different, going way up the racetrack and going to cut back down here. But that cost him quite a bit. And he may have to settle for second position in the stage. Connor Horn played it perfectly, saved as much as he needed to. But the pressure is not off yet. Adam Cabot still within a quarter second across the line. And 77 may just come up short, though. It'll be one more time around when they get back to the start-finish line. Good racing all throughout the field tonight. No cautions in this first stage. As Connor stretches it out now over 3/10 down into turn number 1. And look at that. Adam Cabot really dives it down in there. I think he's just going to be too far back. He's only got 2 more corners to make it happen. And Connor Horn still a quarter second in hand through 3 and 4. Connor going to win stage number 1, assuming he makes it back to the line right here. And he does. Connor Horn wins the stage. Dylan Parker, who led most of it, he'll finish 3rd. AJ Stravato 4th. Keith Mayato 5th. Alec Martinez up to 6th. Jeremy Miller actually passes up Yusuf Ghali. Yusuf, who hit the wall late, he finishes 8th position in the stage. Those are your top 8 finishers in stage number 1, all earning bonus points. Putting on a great race for us here in the first 55 laps. And hope you are enjoying it so far. If you are, please consider following us on these different social media platforms. We've got to update this one with the Facebook page being taken down. But you can check us out on Twitter and Instagram, VSPEED Sim. On both of those platforms, you'll find race announcements on Twitter before each broadcast. We're broadcasting live right here on YouTube each and every week, and we want to thank you so much for joining us for this exciting race tonight as Connor Horn leads the field onto pit road. And the whole field working down pit lane. Looks like a few lap cars going to stay on the racetrack. That's actually just Elliott Butler. As cars trying to find their pit box. We'll see if there are any penalties. Oh, Adam Cabot with a mistake in his box. We'll see who wins the battle off, if it's going to be Connor Horn or someone else. And it is Connor Horn winning the battle. And then Dylan Parker, AJ Stravato, looks like he got out 3rd. We'll see if there are any penalties to the drivers. Connor Horn speeding. And he may have just let this race slip away. Winning stage 1, but speeding off of pit road. And I think I saw another one right there behind him. Might have been Adam Cabot. Cabot also with a speeding penalty. 2 of the top drivers, actually top 2 finishers from stage 1 with pit road mistakes. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
We've been waiting for this moment. Generations of innovation all coming together in one place. A pedigree of more than 70 years of NASCAR Cup Series history, from the past to the present, from Petty to Earnhardt to Elliott. Today, there's no more waiting. The future of NASCAR is now. Drive the next-gen cars today on iRacing and step into the next generation of racing.
And back at the racetrack, Dylan Parker, your race leader. He'll have AJ Stravato to the outside. AJ, your points leader. Finished 4th in the stage. And going to try and pick up the pace here in the second half of this, or second stage of this race. Dylan, very quick, and we are going to have the pace car jump off. Green flag back in the air. Dylan Parker gets a good start, but so does AJ Stravato. He'll drop into second, right in front of Keith Mayato, who's charged up from 13th now to the top 3. And Alec Martinez, Jeremy Miller, big slide right there. They were side by side. And some other drivers making their way back forward. Safe Ferris, Greg Wellen, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, who qualified in 9th, back up to 9th. And he's going to get passed up by Mark Emerson. Here comes Adam Cabot, who is so quick in stage number 1. One of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car at the end of the stage, but couldn't top the 67 as Connor Horn and Adam Cabot both speeding on pit road there during the stage break. Now trying to make their way back forward. We've got side-by-side battling. That is Safe Ferris going to let the 94 on pass. And Safe may have a penalty to serve, or maybe an issue, as he is really pushing it, getting on the pit road. Not sure if he had a pit road penalty, but serving a pass-through potentially. And this could put him a lap down. He's going to be very close to the tail end of the lead lap. Yeah, still just working slowly down pit road. This is very costly. He is already 1 lap down. And I'm not sure if he lost power or something happened. Yeah, not exactly sure what's going on with Safe right now. He's pulling into his pit box. Already 1 lap down, though, and we'll have to find out later on if he's got some connection problems or maybe something else going on in real life. But right now it is Dylan Parker and AJ Stravato, the top 2. They've pulled out a pretty decent gap over Keith Mayato. But Keith was one of the quickest cars on the long run and charged all the way up 10 positions in this race. Yusuf Ghali also 10 positions gained. Jeremy Miller, who got really loose on that restart, hanging up here in the top 5. Now battling back here, Alec Martinez, Greg Wellen, those two in almost alternate looking paint schemes, but Greg going to give way to Adam Cabot as he makes his way down low in a 67. Connor Horn also makes the pass up into the 9th position. And Alec Martinez just going to let these two go by as well. Alex saved his stuff pretty incredibly during the last stage. And he was even farther back when he started doing that and was able to get up there into the 6th spot. And Safe off of pit road. Maybe a 2-tire strategy call. I don't really know, but he is 2 laps down, currently last of the drivers in the race. William Troy has taken it behind the wall. And Elliott Butler still 2 laps down as well. And now some passes inside the top 10. Alec Martinez giving the position to Taylor Butcher Benjamin. I think Alec pulling the same strategy. Maybe saving fuel, saving tires. I don't really know. But I'm a bit surprised by Safe pitting that early into the run. It's not really going to gain him an advantage on tires or lap times or anything like that, but he is as fast as the race leader. Maybe he knows something that I don't and thinks he can make it to the end, potentially. But it will be a long ways. Over 90 laps he'll have to go to the end of the race. Meanwhile, AJ Stravato still applying some pressure to Dylan. Dylan was able to stretch it out pretty quickly in stage 1. And Keith and AJ still both within a second. Jeremy Miller as well, who was up in the top 5 for a good portion of the first stage, with, I think, a late mistake sent him back a few positions. Right now hanging with the 36 in front of him, and both of those drivers actually pretty quick last time by, very close to the leader's lap times. And we'll see if Dylan starts backing off at any point here. We know how badly he burned his stuff up. Taking a look for other battles, it looks like Adam Cabot putting pressure on Mark Emerson. The 22 with that rear end damage. The Magic Man goes low. Right along that yellow line, he'll make the pass as well as Connor Horn. They are just slicing and dicing their way through the field. And Mark Emerson, the latest to let them pass. We ride on board with Connor Horn as he's making his way back up towards the top 5. Right now 7th. And winner of stage number 1. But I think these two will inevitably be the fastest at the end of the stage. We'll just have to wait and see where they all cycle out. I think a green flag stop will be guaranteed, or they may just barely be able to stretch it. It'll be over 100 laps if they want to go from that last pit stop to the end of the race. And right now, Adam Cabot about 2.5 seconds behind Dylan Parker. Connor Horn a couple tenths back from him. The top 4 all pretty equally spaced. AJ Stravato a few tenths back, and then Keith Mato a few more from him, and then Jeremy Miller a few more from him, and then you got about 1 second back to Adam Cabot, who's up into the top 5. Connor Horn up to 6th. Yusuf Ghali falling to 7th. But Yusuf has been pretty fast here tonight. Dylan Parker been the class of the field so far in this one, and currently leading the way. About 15 or so laps into stage number 2, but here comes AJ Stravato, just 2 car lengths back, starting to close that gap up. We saw AJ was a bit quicker than Dylan late in stage 1. I have a feeling that Dylan trying to hold back a tiny bit to try and prevent that massive fall off that we saw from him after about 35 laps, but right now everybody is seemingly reeling him in, as the track has actually cooled a degree from where we started. But I think the racing groove is probably a bit hotter and more rubber being laid down. The handling is going to be quite different on these cars now after 80 laps. Keith Mato is closing the gap up as well. He's been consistently quicker than the top 2. Let's see this time by what the time is. Yeah, about a tenth faster than either of those 2 drivers. And then also Adam Cabot and Connor Horn pretty much mirror lap times. They're about a half tenth quicker than Dylan Parker. As Cabot trying to find a way around Jeremy Miller, which proved to be so difficult for Mayato. He's going to throw a block on Connor Horn, and Connor nearly sent him right there on the front straightaway. Connor knows that 77 is going to be a car to beat and wanted to take advantage of the checkup. But Cabot, a bold block right there, and he's going to get a great run out of turn 4, working to the inside of Jeremy Miller. And he is there as he goes down into the corner pretty deep on entry. And Jeremy up the racetrack a little bit. That's going to allow Cabot on past, and Connor Horn not able to completely get clear. That will check him up a couple of car lengths. Cabot with a little bit of breathing room as he moves to the 4th position. Now Yusuf Ghali also clearing Jeremy Miller. Yusuf maybe saying it's time to go and make my way towards the front, as the top 3 have kind of checked out. 1.6 seconds over Adam Cabot. And no side-by-side battles right now, but closest ones on track are going to be right here. Adam Cabot, Connor Horn, just 2/10 between them. And Yusuf Ghali also marching forward. Alec Martinez back to 10th, but I think he might start moving forward, as he is one of the top 3 fastest cars on the racetrack. Safe Fair is actually the fastest. And those, I think maybe 2 tires and fuel could be helping him out pretty significantly. Right now, he is about 3/10 faster than the top 5. But the problem is he is 2 laps down, and not in the lucky dog position either. He's going to have to hope that this stays green for any kind of semblance of this strategy to work out. And the pace about a second off of the fast times. So about 25 laps on this stint. They're a second off of where they started. And that will continue to drop. Last time by, Adam Cabot fastest on the track. He was about a 10.5 faster than Connor Horn. And Keith Mayato right there in terms of pace. Keith has been very good on the long runs all season long, and he wasn't sure about tonight, but he is doing a good job. And right here in the 3rd position, trying to track down those top 2. And among the top 5, only driver without a race win is Dylan Parker. And he has led a lot of laps here tonight. 79 this time. And he's picked it back up. Fastest car on the racetrack other than Safe Ferris, who again is 2 laps down and on slightly fresher tires. So if things were to cycle out, I think Safe... I'm a bit concerned about his speed on pit road. He was down to around 20 miles an hour. And so he lost a lot of time on pit road, and I don't think he should be 2 laps down. Looks like Angelo Ronas, maybe with a connection problem, might have fallen through. And that could be big trouble for the 29, who is still not back. But I think Angelo Ronas with connection issues, already 1 lap down to our race leader. And Dylan Parker has just clinched most laps led, leading 81, now 82 laps. AJ Stravato not able to close that margin up. I think Dylan was saving. And AJ starting to feel some pressure from Keith Mayato, but neither of them are catching Dylan Parker. Trying to keep an eye on some of the drivers a little bit farther back. Alec Martinez marching back forward. He's already up to 8th. Completes that pass for the 8th spot, or rather 7th position now. And Angelo Ronas still not back into the race session, so he is going to have a pretty poor finish considering his speed tonight. Right now showing as 16th and 3 laps down. He won't finish last. William Troy, who took an early exit, he is going to be scored with that final position. Trying to keep an eye on more battles. Just nothing quite happening at the moment. Mark Emerson, Jeremy Miller, this could develop into a little bit of a battle. Jeremy in 8th, Mark in 9th. Jeremy, who's had a pretty good run this evening. Trying to hold on to what he can here in the top 10. And Mark closing in, showing a little bit better pace on the long run this time. He really struggled the end of stage number 1, and we've gone not quite the distance that we went in that stage, but about 3/4 of it. And doing a very good job right now challenging for that 8th position. Jeremy Miller, though, maybe he's saving some stuff, maybe some fuel. So we don't know if they can make it. It would be quite the stretch. And I think even if you pitted, you might be able to get back to the lead lap just based on time. As Angelo Ronis is back, just pulling off of pit road, and you know he's got to be disappointed. 6 laps down. And he'll try and finish it off for posterity, I think, at this point. Maybe something will happen to the drivers in front of him and might be able to gain a few positions back. But either way, a top 10 run spoiled by the internet. As, ooh, what is that? Keith Maotto, big wiggle out of turn number 2. He goes way down the racetrack there. Let's go back and take a look. Yeah, up over those bumps, car got really light as the fuel is burning off. Either way, able to hang on to it. He loses some ground to the top 2. And Adam Cabot, who's driven away from Connor Horn by 1.5 seconds, starting to track these top 3 down. He's faster than any of them by at least 1/10. And even more on some of those guys. Take a look at the line. That time by Dylan Parker, a bit faster. He's still the fastest on the track. Other than Alec Martinez, Alec actually put in a great lap time there. He's up to 7th and starting to track down Yusuf Gali, about 3/10 quicker than the 54. And Alec playing a little different strategy today. We've seen him drop to the back in other races, but it's been very obvious in this one that he is just dropping positions on purpose as he tags the wall just a little bit on the back stretch. But at points in this one, outside the top 10 and charging his way back forward. I think the farthest he was back was about 14th early on. After starting in 4th, still trying to work his way back up to the top 5. Meanwhile, Maotto closing back in on Stravato. These two have had some shared success. Last week was a good finish for both of them in the top 2. Maotto's had an up and down season, and AJ has had largely a very successful one, being the points leader. And right now, he's still set to gain, I think, a few points on over Connor Horn if they finish, where they run. AJ still backing up week to week, the fact that he is that points leader. And Connor does have one less race in, but just so consistent here from the 33. Has yet to find the front tonight, but he's been up in the top 5 all race. And sometimes just collecting those top 5s week in and week out, that is enough to get you, especially a regular season championship. But he is feeling the pressure now. Look at this, Maotto almost to the back bumper through 3 and 4. He is there. And AJ really struggling to put that power down. Keith does not make a move to the inside as they're starting to close in on Zach Halpern, who has gone a lap down with the heavy nose damage on that race car. And pit stops should be starting soon. We've actually got Taylor Butcher Benjamin. Mark Emerson slow on the track. He is Gonna check up right in front of Safe Ferris. And no caution. And what happened here? Connor Horn pulls on the pit road. He gets into his pit stop. I need to go back and see what happened between Mark Emerson and Safe Ferris. As Mark was spun out, he got into it with the 30 and then looped it around hard. Tags the outside wall and no yellow flag. That is absolutely incredible. The 22 up on the racetrack so slow. And then Safe Ferris comes sailing in. Maybe didn't even see that he was there. And now Safe with some nose damage, I think. Yusuf Ghali brings it on the pit road. Looking for other stops happening. We've had Adam Cabot bring it in. He's back on the racetrack. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Connor Horn. And Connor is going to be a pretty good distance behind Cabot. Yusuf Ghali. Extended, or not an extended stay, rather. He is now pulling off of the pit lane. Yeah, meanwhile, Safe Fair is still 2 laps down and behind all of these guys. So I was thinking that the slow drive down pit lane was going to cost him, and it surely has. Still going to be at least 1 lap down, I think, to the race leaders. But Connor Horn bringing back onto pit road. Might have had a speeding penalty. Or I don't know, some type of an infraction on pit lane, potentially. Meanwhile, Dylan Parker out in front. Keith Mayato's been able to work his way past AJ Stravato for second. And keeping an eye on drivers bringing it in. Eddie Trejo coming down pit road. Mark Emerson bringing it down now with the heavy rear end damage. And that was absolutely crazy. No caution came out. Alec Martinez brings it on the pit lane. You'll see when those race leaders come on to the pit road. Dylan Parker, no sign of doing so just yet. And we'll see the speed difference here as there goes Connor Horn. He's just going to sail right on past. How long does Dylan wait? He's about 2 seconds a lap slower than those cars on fresh tires. And Connor, multiple laps down. Trying to get as much of that time back as he can. Here comes Stravato on the pit lane. We get nicely into his pit box. And Keith Mayato now brings it down. Still waiting for about 4 or 5 drivers to come back in. And Dylan Parker continuing to stay on the racetrack. I see some smoke there. The end of pit lane, not sure if somebody spun out. But the top 3 still remaining on the racetrack. It's Dylan Parker, Jeremy Miller. Oh, look at that. Really slow now trying to work to pit lane. He'll get down to speed. Potentially trying to get slowed up. There he is. Greg Wellen still on the racetrack as well. And then Zach Halpern, who's been out there for quite some time. Is Keith Mayato going to lose a couple of spots? He'll lose actually... Yeah, he'll lose at least 2 spots. Not a good exchange there for the driver of the 36, who was on pit road for about 2 seconds longer than the 33. Here comes Dylan Parker now finally bringing it down pit road. It's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out. He stayed out way longer than a few of these drivers. I think Adam Cabot should cycle out to the top spot. As he does now, he'll take over the race lead. Dylan Parker just coming off of pit lane. He is now cycled all the way back to 6th. And Taylor Butcher Benjamin might even be able to get past him. But not quite close enough. Dylan Parker, 6th position. He's going to have to make up 12.5 seconds in 40 laps. And Adam Cabot might have just set himself up for a race win. 10 lap older tires, but 12.5 seconds is a lot of time. Connor did get a speeding penalty on pit road. That's what cost him. That's the second one of the night for the 67, who's had good speed, but really has ruined his own opportunity here tonight. But either way, still another great race with the stage win. He still has an opportunity to maybe get a lucky dog. He's got to get up to Jeremy Miller, who's on about 7 lap fresher tires. And Jeremy might be able to get back on the lead lap all on his own. He's tracking down the 77 of Cabot. And this will be a bit of a display of the difference in tires between, say, like Dylan Parker and Adam Cabot, as the 30 of Jeremy Miller about the same time down pit road as Dylan, and Dylan has made up already a second and a half over the last 2 laps. So it may not be too far-fetched to see if he can get back up there. Still 11 seconds yet to gain. But you know, he's driving as hard as he can here for these next 40 laps. Hoping he can get it done. And he sees Connor Horn up there in front of him. Connor a whole lap behind him. And on older tires. So Connor gonna have a hard time getting back on the lead lap other than through a caution cycle. Meanwhile, AJ Stravato, he's up to second, and Yusuf Ghali as well in third. Keith Mayato with fresher tires than any of those top 3, but he's 7.6 seconds behind. Only pitted a couple laps before Dylan Parker. He could have a shot at it, but Dylan really chopping time off from the race lead, already under 10 seconds. That's 2.5 seconds gained if you're counting over the last 4 laps. Meanwhile, Safe Fares back down pit road. Wasn't sure what the strategy call was early on, and it is not going to pay off for him here tonight. Driver with good speed in stage 1. Not going to be able to get the result that he is hoping for. But right now, Adam Cabot with 5 seconds in hand over AJ Stravato. And Dylan Parker putting heavy pressure on Alec Martinez. He'll go to the inside. It's not going to be any contest. Alec just lets him go. And Dylan Parker up into 5th. Next car in line going to be Keith Mayato, 2 seconds up the road. And last time by, about a half second quicker for Dylan. So he should get there in a few laps. You can actually now Yusuf getting passed up by Keith. Keith up to 3rd position. And the race lead dwindling as AJ Stravato starting to close in. Going to be about 4.6 seconds at the line. Adam Cabot still hanging on up there. It'll be 30 to go next time. Things are getting very interesting. This varying strategy in stage 2 in the last little bit of the race. Very hard to say who's going to win it. I think Cabot could have a good shot as the tires start to equalize a little bit later in the run. He may still have the race lead, and he's been good on the long run. Stravato now 4.2 seconds the difference. And Keith Mayato now down to 5.8. Dylan Parker down to 7.1. And everybody chasing down that 77. We'll see if they can get there before the checkered flag. We're going to go to a quick side-by-side commercial break, and we will be right back.
Welcome to VSPEED, your home for sim racing excitement, providing dramatic moments from iRacing and beyond. We offer broadcasting for leagues across iRacing and specialized packages to help grow your league and advertise your sponsors.
I think, and Right now, Stravato with that advantage. It's half a car length the difference between first and second. Going into turn one, he gives the bumper to Connor Horn.
These two have gone all year to get to this point. Jacob Shorba drifting up the racetrack. They make contact. The 88 goes around. The 95 goes around. The 12 caught in it.
Our design team can help you create anything from paint schemes to sim rig parts with expertise in both 2D and 3D design with 3D printing capabilities. Looking to get into broadcasting yourself? We can help you design and operate custom overlays to make your stream look as professional as possible. Our team can create and manage custom merchandise sales for you and your team. Check out our shop to see what we have in stock and how we can create some awesome merch for you. Check out our race replays on YouTube or catch us live weekly on Twitch. Visit us at vspeedsim.com to see how we can help you on your iRacing journey.
And back at the racetrack now, AJ Stravato has chopped the race lead down to 2.4 seconds, and it's shrinking. That time by another 0.2 quicker, and closing the gap up, as well as Keith Mayato and Dylan Parker. They're all gaining at slightly different rates. They all have slightly different wear on these Goodyear Eagles. And Dylan Parker with the freshest of the top 5, really tracking down those 3 drivers. He's been fastest all race long, and he's come from 12.5 seconds back, now 3.7 for the driver of the number 3. Down through 1 and 2. We'll see if he can pick up any more. Adam Cabot, he's going to be hoping that the tires equalize soon, because that race lead that was at one point about 7 seconds to AJ Stravato is getting closer and closer to 2 seconds. Stravato that time by only a 0.5 faster. Keith a little bit quicker than AJ, actually about a 1/10.5, and then Dylan, who's kind of equalized with Keith, driving so hard right now to close this gap up. This is going to be very impressive if Adam Cabot recovers from his speeding penalty after stage 1 and can survive to the end, pitting earlier than these guys behind him. And it should be pretty close on fuel as well. Well, actually, he should be okay. It'll be about 50 laps for Cabot. But the battle for second is about to get interesting. AJ Stravato, he's closed up a lot on the race leader, but the drivers behind him have closed even more. Mayato, who was second at the start of that pit cycle, shuffled back to 4th and now trying to get to 2nd once again. And he is just a car length and a half behind. You can see how much better he is out of turn number 4. I think AJ might just let him take the spot, seeing how far he's been tracked down. But not yet. Keith rolls up the center of the middle of the corner. He's going to get a great run out of turn 2. He'll look to the inside, headed into turn 3. The 36 of Mayato now back to the 2nd position as Stravato using up his Goodyears a little bit more. And here comes Dylan Parker to the outside. AJ not even going to contend. Knows that it's only going to cost him time, and he sees his teammate really tracking down those top 2. Already gained 10 seconds on Adam Cabot, but time is running out. He's going to have to pick it up. Last time not really any faster than the 77. And Mayato now stuck behind some lap traffic. This could cost him as Eddie Trejo not really getting out of the way. Here comes the 7 of Zach Halpern. And Dylan really lost a bit of ground right there. He had to check up behind the 21. Now working to the inside of Zach Halpern as well. These top 2 still trying to find some pace to catch up to Cabot, who is pretty much equalized with them. Fastest car on the track was Alec Martinez last time by, and he is 6.1 seconds back. Not really going to have an opportunity to win this one without a caution. For the top 3, pretty much the only ones in contention. AJ Stravato could maybe capitalize on a mistake if they all somehow get together. But Keith Maotto, who started pretty deep in the field tonight, he is still picking up some time on Adam Cabot. Dylan Parker, I think, has used every ounce of grip that car had. And it might be too little too late. He pitted just a little too late, I think. Maybe a lap or two earlier, he'd still be in the race lead. They're trying to regroup here and refocus. He's got 2.6 seconds to catch that 77. And it just does not look like he's going to be able to do it. Keith Maotto, though, about a half-tenth quicker. And this time by, still about 600ths faster. It's probably not going to be enough. It'll be 12 to go. Next time at the line, and the Magic Man, who's already gotten his first career Virtual Racing League victory this season. At, like we mentioned, a kind of a similar racetrack in Darlington Speedway. Tonight at Rockingham Speedway, he has been one of the quickest cars all race long. And closing in on 10 to go. He's still got a second and a half back to Keith Maotto, but Keith has poured it on here over these last couple of laps. Really pushing hard. This time by, still a quarter second faster. And a gap under 1.4. Can Maotto win back-to-back for his second victory of the season? Or is Cabot going to get back to victory lane after a bit of a drought over these last few races? He's struggled just a little bit. Obviously, these high horsepower, low downforce packages and these bumpy racetracks suit his driving style. Still hanging on to this race lead after being one of the first cars to pit. We only have 8 cars on the lead lap, and that 8th car is right here in front of Adam Cabot. And under 10 laps to go, we'll see if the 94 just rolls out of the way. He is going to do just that. As we talk about it, he gets out of the way, and we'll see if Maotto can get around him pretty easily here. Greg going to run way up the racetrack, and Keith goes right on past. And that gap closing now under 1 second. Maotto really good on the long run here as they make their way past Yusuf Ghali, who is right there in the way of both of the race leaders. Yusuf with a problem. He goes a lap down now, 8th position. And Keith still trying to close that gap up. 8.5 tenths. It'll be 5 to go in just a couple of laps. And only 6 cars on the lead lap now. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, last one on the lead lap. He's made a good recovery in this race after nearly losing it on lap 1. And could come away maybe even with a top 5 if things work out. Or if anybody has issues up front. Maotto 3/4 of a second behind, still chasing down Adam Cabot. Magic Man holding on for dear life. He'll have 50 laps on these tires when we cross the finish line. Maotto with about 7 lap fresher tires, but it doesn't really matter at this point. It's whoever saved him a little bit better. 5 laps to go. Maotto 7 tenths behind, maybe not closing quick enough. That time by was about 700ths faster. At that rate, he would not get there. He'd still have a few tenths to gain. Keith trying to find some time. That time across the line, 6 tenths. He was about another 600ths faster. It seems that the 77 so much better getting down into the corner. And then Keith so much better up out of the turns. And it is definitely getting close. Adam Cabot still hanging on. 3 laps to go here at Rockingham for the VSPEED Garage 160. Can Cabot hang on to it? Maotto chasing hard. Down the back straightaway they go. I don't know if he's going to be able to get there. He's really going to have to drive hard these next 2 laps. I think Cabot played this just right. And if he did, what a drive from the Magic Man. 2 laps to go. Looking for a second career victory in the league. After winning his first one just about half dozen races ago. When you win one, the next ones come a bit easier generally, but he is coming to the white flag. White flag in the air. Adam Cabot one more time around for a second career victory. Keith Maiato not close enough. He's half a second back. Still a great effort from the driver of the 36 who started all the way in 13th. Just not going to be quite close enough. Had to drive that much harder, or maybe one lap difference in pitting might have done it for him, but through 3 and 4 out of the turn. Cabot spinning across the line, are able to hang on to it, and he is going to take the win. His second. Adam Cabot wins the VSPEED Garage 160 as Maiato just 0.275 seconds behind him. And Dylan Parker rounds out the podium. Alec Martinez finishes 4th. AJ Stravato in 5th. What a drive by the Magic Man. Gonna get a big bump here from Stravato and Alec Martinez. As that 77, a 2-time winner this season. Big rub there from Safe Ferris. And he leads 42 laps after starting on the front row. Recovering from a speeding penalty. What a drive. What a race here tonight from Rockingham. And Adam Cabot comes out on top. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
VSPEED is proud to be partnered with Below the Double Yellow podcast, a podcast for NASCAR fans by NASCAR fans. Listen to Nick and Joe discuss all the latest on-track action, available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. VSPEED is also proud to present the 2021 Below the Double Yellow Cup Series, brought to you by the American Trucking Association, starting January 14th, 8:25 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursdays at twitch.tv/VSpeedSim.
And back at the racetrack now, going to be bringing up our race winner here for the second time this season, Adam Cavett. Adam in the VSPEED booth. You got a copy?
I do. How's it going, Adam?
Well, not too bad, and I'm sure you're pretty excited yourself. Your second victory of the season, your second career victory in the Virtual Racing League, and man, what a drive here tonight. You were able to pull the strategy off just right, had the speed all race long. You know, how are you feeling about tonight's race?
I'm really happy that I was able to come back from a pretty dumb mistake. Connor and I think, got a little bit too obsessed with racing each other at the end of that first stage there that we both sped on pit road. Definitely made the race more difficult for both of us. Had to try to charge back up through the pack, and that's what kind of led me to pull the strategy move I did with pitting early. I kind of forced myself into that situation where it's so hard to pass. The dirty air just seems to get worse and worse, and it's so hard to pass. I knew that the only way that I could win was to try to leapfrog them and pit early, get some clean laps out on the track with fresh tires, and then try to hold them off. And somehow that's exactly what I did. But if that race was a couple laps longer, I don't think I had much left. I think Keith was definitely coming hard. I know Dylan was also, I don't know exactly where he was, but he was back there, and yeah, that was a little bit too close for my liking. I kept just thinking, come on, just let these laps click off, and yeah, a couple more laps, and I think Keith would have got me.
Yeah, it's definitely intense when you're looking at the relative and then seeing how many laps are left, and you see that gap shrinking and shrinking, but you had the speed from the get-go, really, and you had a lot of long-run speed as well. You really pressured Connor at the end of the first stage, like you said, and it looked like you were actually quicker than he was. And you said it was definitely tough to pass here, but you know, what did you learn making your way through the field after that mistake?
I don't really know how much I learned. The track changed a lot. It was pretty hot when we started, and then it cooled off towards the end, and that I actually would say that was more to my disadvantage. I really like the track when it's slick. It's you know, easier to in my opinion, and even though it's harder on the tires, it's easier to manage them. And I just I was really tight that whole last stage, even though I was trying my best to manage my tires while I was out front, because I knew I needed to save enough to hold off that late charge from Keith. But yeah, the track changed a lot, but you know, I'm also really happy. I'm really thankful that Greg Wellen decided to pull out of the way and let us battle it out there, because I mean, dirty air was so bad that even just being tucked up behind him, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7 car lengths back was enough that I thought I was going to lose enough speed and have Keith be able to get by me. So just barely was able to hang on. But yeah, I mean, Rockingham is either my number 1 or number 2 favorite track. Every time I come here, I expect to do well. So yeah, I mean, if I'm a fan of keep running the 750 horsepower package, because I think he keeps putting on some good racing, and it's definitely more better suits my driving style.
Yeah, we were saying that you won at Darlington and now Rockingham, two kind of similar racetracks in how you run them, and the worn surface and the bumpy, the bumpy surface. Definitely a lot of fun to race around both of these tracks, and it appears you have basically both of them mastered. You've done a great job in those two races, coming away with the victory. And we go to a very different track next week in iRacing Super Speedway. How do you feel about going out there?
God help us all. That's all I have to say about that. It'll be different. I have no idea what to expect. I'm sure it will be entertaining at the very least, but I'm glad it's on the schedule. I think it's fun to mix it up every once in a while and throw in an oddball race, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah,
definitely gonna be a fun one to watch for sure. But you come away the winner here tonight after starting in second. You lead 42 laps on the way to victory. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Absolutely. Give a shout out to Supercharged Racing and my teammates. Got to give a shout out to my boys back home, Magic Man crew, Mimi and Pop Pop watching all my races. They're my number 1 fans for sure. And yeah, everyone who makes this happen, everyone who Reggie at but I just forgot the name of the league, VRL, and you at VSPEED. Just everyone who makes this happen. This is a lot of fun.
Yes, sir, and you're putting on great races for us to watch. So congrats on the win. Go celebrate. We'll catch you next week at iRacing Super Speedway.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Adam.
All right. That is race winner Adam Cabot, his second win of the season. We're going to go to second place finisher now. That is going to be Keith Mayato. Let's see if we can pull him into the booth. Keith, Adam in the VSPEED booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Well, Keith, not quite back-to-back wins, but man, what a drive at the end. You nearly got there. Just a few car lengths too short. But describe your race here tonight after coming from a little bit deeper in the field and working your way to the second place finish.
Yeah, starting in the back of the field was a plan just to get a better pit stall. That way I don't have to have a pit stall around the corner on the track. And then, yeah, slowly, the plan was to just slowly work my way up. And things worked out. I think it was like 5th at stage end, and then I think came out 3rd after the pit stop. So I think the good pit stall had that reason. Other than that, it was just, kind of saving my stuff there after the first stage end behind Dylan and AJ, just, staying in check with them. Hopefully, maybe getting up to first, but I was only getting up to second. And then after the pit stops, I thought, usually with iRacing, if you stay out long enough, you're a lot faster on the long run. And I think I stayed out like an extra 7 laps longer than Adam, but he pulled it off. I didn't have enough laps to get to him.
Yeah, I think you two were really the fastest on the long run throughout the entire race. And yeah, he just barely hung on. I think it might have been, looking at your pit lane time, there was an extra 2 seconds on that last pit stop. And that probably, that was the difference right there. So was there any issue on that stop or just a slow stop?
I guess just a slow stop. Probably, I don't know if it was in the pits or on entry or just the whole thing in total.
Yeah, it's looking at total time on pit lane was a couple seconds slower. So yeah, that's the difference right there. Not exactly sure, what happened. We saw that you had lost the positions to Keith and others, but you definitely were driving the wheels off of that thing. I wasn't sure if you were going to get there, and you made it as close as you possibly could. But a second place finish tonight, and we go to iRacing Super Speedway. So I think you can get another podium another week in a row.
I'm gonna try. I don't know what to expect for it's either gonna be everyone's chilling out, for 90 laps or maybe 88 laps, or everyone's going for it right away. That's gonna be an interesting race. Hopefully the setup's nice and stable on that corner entry there.
Yeah, I think I've only broadcast one race at that track, and it was in the Indy cars, which are pretty stable everywhere. But yeah, it'll be interesting in the Cup cars to see how that goes. But Keith, the second place finish after starting 13th. You back up a nice win last week with another podium finish here tonight. It don't lead any laps on the way, but man, what a great race from you here tonight. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to yourself with VSPEED Garage, everyone at Virtual Racing League, all the work they do, putting the setups together, and good race to AJ and Adam. It was fun battling and keeping it green, so good job to everyone tonight.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun tonight. I think caution-free race other than the stage there. So great performance, and we'll catch you next week at iRacing Super Speedway.
Thanks, Adam. Have a good one.
All right, thank you. That was Keith Mayato, second place finisher. Let's go to third place, Dylan Parker. Adam in the VSPEED booth. You got me.
Yes, sir.
Well, Dylan, you had the car to beat, I think, all race long, and maybe bit just a little bit by the strategy to stay out longer. You come up just a bit short in your charge back to the front, but man, what a drive. You gained over 10.5 seconds before, it kind of stalled out there. Describe your race for us here tonight.
The race tonight, honestly, really disappointed with how I finished, because I led, I think, over half of it, and did not bring home the win after that. I'm just so disappointed with that. First stage, I let Connor and Adam get the best of me. I didn't save my tires that well, but after that, I changed up my line, how I was steering the car, and saved tires better there, and kind of gapped everyone. But I just, like always, I chose the wrong strategy, and Adam got the best one. I'm pretty sure he could have got it right there. And just after tires evened out, there was no catching him after that. Trying to get to him, I also used up my stuff a little bit, but credit to Adam. Thinking ahead, I wasn't really thinking if the tires was evening out. I was just trying to get the best tires and charge my way to the front, but really disappointed I couldn't bring home the win. I'm trying to get the first one, but just can't seem to do it for some reason.
Yeah, you've had a lot of podium finishes and really consistent performance throughout the season. You're up there, I think, in the top 5 in points, but still looking for that race win. You did lead 106 laps tonight, so that was the number. So definitely had the speed to win, and sometimes it does come down to these strategy calls, and it just sometimes doesn't go your way. But do you think you can recover next week at iRacing Super Speedway? I know you're pretty good at those big tracks.
Honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen next week. It's up in the air. I'm just hoping to maybe have a clean race and see if I can pull off another top 5 and just continue getting the points gap and just go into the playoffs with a pretty big gap.
Yeah, I think you're in there pretty securely right now. If you continue with these types of performances, you'll definitely you'll advance no problem at all. Still looking for that race win. I think you're definitely going to get it here with the way that you've been running, especially as of late, up there in the top 5 almost all the time. But just a little bit short here. 3rd place finish tonight, leading 106 laps after starting on the pole. So a strong race. But anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I'd like to give a shout out to Peak Performance Motorsports, JVM, VMS, everyone on there, great guys, and Reggie for throwing this awesome league every week, and you for doing an awesome broadcast.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for putting on a great performance for us here. A lot of fun to watch you wheel it out there, and man, charging from 12.5 seconds back to less than 2, it was very impressive. So you gotta keep that in mind and keep moving forward, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, thank you.
All right. That was Dylan Parker finishing in 3rd. A lot of fun watching him drive back through the field on that last run, just a little short at the end of it, but nonetheless a great run from him. Let's take a look at the full results and head on out for the night. Only one caution, and that was the stage break, and we only had 3 lead changes. Sure feels like it was more than that, but up at the front, Adam Cabot found the lead at the end, able to hang on to it after giving up a huge gap to the drivers behind him. He comes out of here with the race win, and only 6 drivers on the lead lap after a lot of pit mistakes during the green flag cycle. Cabot wins. Keith Mayato so close at the end, he'll finish 2nd. Dylan Parker dominating, but coming up just short in 3rd. Alec Martinez finishes in 4th after an up and down day, but ultimately a positive, I'd say. AJ Stravato finishes in 5th. He'll continue to pull out a bit of a margin on Connor Horn, who had a couple mistakes in this one. Taylor Butcher Benjamin finishes 6th. Yusuf Ghali finishes 7th. Greg Wellen finishes 8th. Eddie Trejo finishes 9th. Connor Horn, with his mistakes, still ends up with a top 10 finish, and trying to minimize the damage there. 11th tonight was Zach Halpern. 12th was Safe Ferris. 13th, Elliott Butler. 14th, Jeremy Miller. 15th, Angelo Ronis. 16th, Mark Emerson. 17th, William Troy. And rounding out the field tonight, Jeff Wright, who actually didn't even complete any laps as far as I can tell. But maybe a start and park. There are 18 drivers in tonight's race, and Adam Cabot came out on top. I want to thank you so much for tuning in here tonight. You can check us out at all of these social media links. Our Twitch channel, where we do a plan to stream occasionally for some in-car content and things like that. Check us out here on YouTube weeknights while we stream broadcasts live. We will be back tomorrow night with the Below the Double Yellow Cup series from Watkins Glen. You won't want to miss that one starting at 8:25 p.m. right here. Also check us out for race announcements at VSPEED Sim on Twitter. You can visit us at vspeedsim.com to learn more about our different offerings and how you can take your iRacing experience to the next level. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.